Now, when a striker scores 97 goals in 102 appearances, the world takes notice. And everybody sits down and says, that's a world-class striker. So why isn't that the case with Viktor Gyökeres? Mikel Arteta has finally got his hands on his dream signing, a priority in this Arsenal team, a position that I feel like this Arsenal team have neglected over the past few years. But now they've got the goal-scoring machine in Viktor Gyökeres. So why does everybody microanalyze the Swedish striker? And why does everybody come up with narratives which aren't true? He can only score on the transition. He scores goals because of the Portuguese league. Every single league in the world has its weaknesses. And Viktor Gyökeres is one of the most physically dominant strikers in the world. But in this video, we will break down how Mikel Arteta, how his Arsenal teammates, and how this Arsenal overall setup can utilise Gyökeres' physicality to exploit the opposition and make sure he continues to score goals for fun. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, always engage in the comments. Now, this video is going to be breaking down into 3 very simple parts. And these 3 simple parts will allow you to understand why this narrative of Viktor Gyökeres can only score goals for fun in the Portuguese league because of the far weaker opposition is one of the biggest myths in football. And God knows who created it. A striker will score you goals no matter where you put them, as long as the team caters to them and plays to their strengths. But Viktor Gyökeres in these 3 things is going to benefit Arsenal so much more than just goal scoring. Now, point number 1 is his ability to occupy defenders, his ability to occupy centre halves. You can clearly see from the graphic, when a striker can occupy centre-halves just with their sheer movement, their sheer presence on the pitch, look at how much space it creates for all the players across the pitch. I feel like when looking at Arsenal over the past year or two, they haven't really had a physical profile down the middle in particular that can occupy centre-halves. Gabriel Jesus occupies players outside of the opposition box, but in the opposition box, 9 times out of 10, Gabriel Jesus was never ever there. Kai Havertz, as much as he can occupy them, I don't think any opposition player looks at Kai Havertz and says, you are a player that we can't give half a yard to. Kai Havertz has shown throughout his Arsenal career, he can be very wasteful in front of goal. And in the opposition box, he isn't the most penetrative. When you bring in somebody like Viktor Gyökeres, who has scored 97 goals and 102 appearances, that strikes fear into opposition players. Whether or not he's got an amazing first touch, whether or not he's got an amazing strike of the ball, opposition players know in the back of their heads, because football, it is a psychological game just as much as it is technical, mental, physical. They will know, we can't leave this guy alone. We need to go 2-on-1 on him, at times 3-on-1 on him. Now imagine, if 2 players occupy him, you've now automatically got yourself 1 Arsenal player, that's free. If 3 go on him, you've automatically got yourself 2 Arsenal players that are free. And when you look at Arteta, the style of play, how Arsenal chop and change in the final third, it's going to open the door to so many other players to get into far more dangerous areas just because of Viktor Gyökeres being on the pitch. His ability to occupy centre-halves, his ability just to strike fear in opposition players because of the fact that he's a goal-scoring machine. Now, the second point is the long ball. Arsenal, they like to play out of the back, but the thing about every top team across the world is they master the ability to play in a variety of different ways. Now, of course, your principles of play might tell you you have to play out of the back. But what if there's a team camped on the halfway line and you know 140-yard diagonal and your striker is in on goal? Arsenal haven't really had physical, in terms of running power strikers down the middle. Kai Havertz isn't really the quickest. Gabriel Jesus tended to be more the striker that would drop deep to create those central overloads. Gyökeres is a transition monster. Gyökeres is more, let me run in behind, let me make myself available, rather than let me drop deep, allow you to connect the dots. Because of that, don't be surprised if you see Arsenal actually deploy some Route 1 this season, where they can play out of the back. They can beat the opposition press. They can show us all of these fancy triangles and the give and goals and the 1-2s. We've seen Arsenal do that. Don't be surprised if next season you begin to see David Raya just pick up the ball and go 50-60 yards into the channels. They've got themselves a striker, which is one of the fastest in the world. 2, one of the strongest in the world. And 3, his bread and butter is playing, chasing down loose balls and then creating a goal scoring opportunity for himself out of nothing. You look at something like this. This is Gyökeres receiving the ball, knowing he still has a goalkeeper to beat. He's got 2-3 centre-halves on him. But as long as he's got time, as long as he's got space that he can drive into, he will still find a way to put the ball into the back of the net. And that's exactly what he does in a Sporting Lisbon top, season after season. And it's what's contributed to back-to-back Liga NOS trophies. His ability to chase down loose balls, his ability to be the outlet, but on top of everything, be the outlet that can still create goal scoring opportunities for himself. And number 3, we'll keep it short and sweet. He is a goal scorer. Arsenal have been in desperate needs of a reliable goal scorer down the middle, even if it's somebody that can get them 15, 16, 17 league goals on a consistent basis. You take those 16 goals and you add them with what Bukayo Saka contributes, what somebody like Martinelli, Odegaard, Declan Rice can contribute. The centre-halves like Gabriel is a goal-scoring machine as a centre-back. Arsenal will have goals all over the park. But now they've got themselves players that can score goals in a variety of different ways. Gyokeres is the finisher. Bukayo Saka is the guy that can score from outside the box. Martinelli is the one that makes the late runs into the box. Declan Rice is the person that scores from set pieces. The centre-halves are the ones that score headers from set pieces. You've now got yourself a team that can be penetrative all over the pitch. But Viktor Gyökeres, he isn't your average goal scorer. No, 97 goals in 102 games is impressive. These are world-class numbers, but these most importantly show you this is a striker that can convert his opportunities. Regardless of the opposition, regardless of the goalkeeper, regardless of the defensive setup, you get me the ball into dangerous areas and I will put the ball into the back of the net 9 times out of 10. We've seen Arsenal get the ball into dangerous areas. Kai Havertz will put it into the back of the 10. Kai Havertz will put the ball into the back of the net maybe 5 times out of 10. Gabriel Jesus, maybe 5 times out of 10. You've now got yourself a guy that will put you the ball into the back of the net 8/9 times out of 10. And that might result in what? An extra 15, 20 goals at the end of the Premier League campaign? That could be the difference between finishing second and finishing first. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, always engage in the comments, and I will catch you guys on another one.